Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Adam here with Retro Repairs, and it's time for another repair video. So what I have here is this cart of Golden Axe for the Sega Genesis. This was sent to me by a viewer saying that he couldn't get it to boot up. It was just a black screen. So I figured, well, give it a try, see what we can do. So I took a look. As you can see, there's not a lot to these cartridges. It's not like some of the Super Nintendo or N64 cartridges where there's a few different chips and capacitors and everything. So I replaced these components and I had no luck fixing it. I was starting to chalk it up to being a bad ROM chip, and I don't have the ability to program new ROM chips and install a new ROM chip. So I was going to say I probably wouldn't be able to do a whole lot with it. I tried removing it. I tried resoldering it in just to rule out being a bad connection, but didn't really make a difference. However, coincidentally, I ran across someone on Facebook who's having a similar issue with a Genesis cart with a similar configuration here. And it turns out I was right. It is the ROM chip, but it is apparently fixable. So what happens, I'll try and give you like a really high level version of this. I might be slightly inaccurate. I apologize if so correct me, but these ROM chips inside have diodes in them from all of the address lines going into the circuitry into ground. So these diodes function by allowing current to pass one way, but not the other way. So a lot of times they use it for circuit protection to help make sure that you're not sending voltage where you're not supposed to. So it was suggested that I test these diodes to see if it's working. And so you do this by using a multimeter in this mode right here with the little line and the triangle and the other line. That's the symbol for diode. So what happens is you got to find ground first, and ground here is either going to be one of these pins down on the corner or this middle one as well. This is also a ground pin. So you start by getting your positive lead on ground, and then you take your negative lead and you touch some of the other ones. And as you can see, I get a value, and it's going to range. This one was 700. This is 605. This is 605. Right? Mainly around 605 seems to be pretty common. Going up to the top, 607, 603. So I kept going until I found this one, where I just get 1. And that's telling me that it's not allowing any current to pass through it. Now, just to show you what happens when you reverse the leads, so I'm going to take my negative on the ground plane and then test all of these with the positive. And they all... Oh, that one's a little off. There we go. I wasn't getting a good connection there. But they should be giving a different result. Now it's making me look like a liar. There we go. 1. I think my multimeter is just not very good. So what I'm going to do is run a resistor from the pin up here to ground. So I could either go from there to there or from there down. I think going straight down is going to be easier. So my understanding is you can use a 1K resistor or a 1000 ohm resistor, and that will help complete this circuit so that address line can be read. So I'm going to take the resistor, going to flux up the pin that I'm going to connect it to. I'm going to trim one of the legs. Right about there should be goodish. Now, all we need to do is grab the soldering iron. Let's zoom in a touch. So hold the resistor against the pin that we're going to be soldering it to. Just going to touch that, heat up the solder, remove it, let it sit for a second, and that is good. So now I'm going to trim the next leg, which should be right about there. And we're going to do the same thing. So line up the resistor, And if you need to bend the leg a little bit to get it where you want, do so. And then touch that, heat up the solder, embed the leg, let it go, and we're good. So we're going to clean off that residual flux with some alcohol. There we go, that looks pretty good. Zoom out a touch. And just gonna hit those pins as well, just to make sure there's no flux or anything on these. Dry it up. So I want to give that a test again with the positive pin on the ground, negative pin here, and I should get, oops, come on, there we go. Oh, you can't see that. There. Should get a value more in line. So 680, which is more in line with what we had before. I want to test continuity here between these just to make sure there's no bridging, and there is not. I'm just going to run a quick test along these other pins just to make sure there was no other points of failure here. So again, I can even now connect to this. And I think we are looking good. So let's throw this in the shell quickly and give it a test. All right, so moment of truth. Plug it in, turn it on. And black screen. Let's try insert. Okay, so we have the license screen. Come on. Oh, there we go. So we are booting into Sega. And we are booting into Golden Axe. Nice. So this, that's pretty exciting. So I learned something new, I think, recently here, because I have a couple Sega Genesis cartridges, which I did not have any luck repairing. So hopefully this will be a useful video for someone out there that's going to look to try and repair their old Genesis cartridges. For those of you wondering how this comes to be, a lot of times this happens with Sega cartridges from removing it while the game is still powered on. So some other systems, they aren't as prone to that, but Genesis seems to be extremely prone to that. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it didn't take too long. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think. And be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and until next time, thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next video.